Hello, this is Dr. Dave Mastak talking about reciprocity.com, the sharing economy proofreading platform that I'm trying to build. The E is spelled with a 3. And in this particular video, I really want to talk about quality in the sharing economy. I think this is kind of an interesting phenomenon. So I've created this thing. I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I've created this reciprocity platform where it's a sharing economy proofreading platform. I don't know any of the people that are actually editing my work. I put it out to the crowd, and what ends up happening is that it gets sorted through, it kind of goes through a queue, and the people that volunteer that want to proofread my stuff, they can proofread it and they can get credits for doing that particular task. What's really interesting is I don't know who those people are, and I cannot guarantee the quality of the people on the other side. But here's the really crazy thing that's so amazing and so wonderful is that the quality is fantastic. It is blowing my mind. I'm putting stuff on there, and then people are doing such an amazing job that I am just blown away that people can actually do this. It is far outreaching my expectations of the quality of the people that are doing things on there. So here, and what's really neat is that I have, other than a few mechanisms, I created a couple of mechanisms. I might talk about those in order to ensure the quality, but I'm going to actually, I'd like to do some more stuff on reciprocity. But in terms of this. But anyways, I'll get into that in a minute. I want to talk about that. Why in the sharing economy the quality is so outstanding. In fact, if you look at Wikipedia, the quality of the work on Wikipedia, for example, is outstanding. It is fantastic. In fact, it replaced encyclopedias, right? You don't see people we used to get when we were kids, when I was a kid, when your parents were a kid, when, long time ago, there used to be door-to-door salespeople that would go and sell people a encyclopedia. You get an encyclopedia delivered, one book of the encyclopedia delivered to you every single month, I think. And then people would flip through it. I remember having the encyclopedia at home, and it'd be all filled with pictures and wonderful pictures of different places. And we'd flip through it and find different things. And this was one thing that it was marketed as sort of an education experience. We don't have this anymore, right? It is gone. It is completely gone. What is it replaced by? Wikipedia, of all things. And what is Wikipedia? A ragtag band of sort of goofballs that are doing that. And I'm not... the ragtag band of goofballs is not a derogatory sort of suggestion. It's actually suggested by Jimmy Wales, which is if you look at the TED Talk about Jimmy Wales, he gives, it's old, from long time ago. It talks about the creation of Wikipedia. And it's just, he put out this website, and he couldn't believe how amazing people were when people were starting to contribute. He had this idea that, maybe we'd create this thing, and it might work. But, and it did work. It took a long time before it actually started taking off. But, people were starting to contribute. And now this thing is so stinking robust that the quality is outstanding. And it's hard to compete. Nobody can compete with this sort of open, sort of collaborative environment where the quality is so good. It's hard to compete. And my mind is drifting towards these idea of what is, quality in the sharing economy right now, because I'm doing a lot of research in this area. I'm starting to think about it a lot, doing a lot of sort of digging down and reading the literature in this area. And it has been shown routinely that the quality is outstanding of people wanting to volunteer, right? So why is that? Why is the quality so stinking good with the sort of sharing economy platforms? And there's different kind of categories of how you could sort of look at the sharing economy. The first one is sort of pure sharing economy, which is kind of like free contributions, which is like Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia, what else is there? Like Quora, I don't know. Facebook, kind of like it. It's definitely sort of contributing. People are just doing things just for the heck of it and sharing things just for the heck of it. And then there's also sort of, I don't know, like a market exchanges would be another way to think about it. And the market exchanges are kind of like ride sharing programs, Uber, right? yeah, what else is there? Airbnb, where people just put things up. They have some excess slack, excess resources. They have a room in their house. They have their car sitting in their front yard, and they want to use it all the time. They need to get a little bit extra cash, so they put that up there. And then, lo and behold, people are like, "Ooh, this is cool. I'm going to try this thing," right? And what you find out is that Airbnb, the quality in general is fantastic. In general, right? But you pay for what you get, obviously, because there is, hey, if you've ever been to anybody else's houses, right? Maybe your house is spotless, but everybody has sort of different standards, right? So, but, that the houses sort of vary. The quality of the cars kind of vary, right? But Uber made sure that Uber and Lyft, they made sure that there was tight standards there, and I can get into that if you want later on, but basically they're trying to make sure that the experience was wonderful. And you know what, the experience is far better than anything you can get. Taxi cabs, for example, limos might be close to the quality you can get, but paying for a limo compared to the price of an Uber is ridiculous, right? Like the difference in quality rankings and compared to, or the difference in price. And, things like Airbnb compared to a hotel chain. So I'm going to be honest, most of the time I do use a hotel chain. And that is because there's variability in the quality. I'm sort of predicting that the quality is going to be good using the sort of, you can look at, I'll get into that in a minute, right? So I know with a high quality chain, I'm not going in any place, right? Basically Marriott or Hilton or something like that, or Holiday Inn. I love Holiday Inn. Those kind of places like that, you guarantee that the quality is always going to be pretty good. There's mechanisms, or organizational mechanisms there, and there's sort of kind of standards. But with the sharing economy stuff is that the quality is generally outstanding, but then there's variance, right? And that's okay. And you need to sort of account for that. And that's really what this sort of story is with why the quality is so outstanding in the sharing economy. First of all, the motives are completely different, right? Or they're often different. Maybe they're similar compared to sort of the, taxi cabs and stuff like that, where they're kind of focused on sort of financial gain. But there's overlapping motives that are really interesting, like altruism, for example. That's why people contribute to Wikipedia. One speculation is altruism, reciprocity is another one, reputation building, those kind of things. Those are really nice sort of, they're nice complements of the sort of financial motives that are available compared to just, driving a taxi, for example. I'm not against taxi drivers by any means, but that there's sort of a different mindset there. The other thing that's really cool is that it's tapping into a different market, right? A completely different kind of people that are going to drive a taxi compared to the people that are, doing the sharing economy stuff, right? The people that are driving a taxi, that is their full-time job. And, that's what they're doing. That's their thing. But the sharing economy stuff, it could be anybody. There's a real blend of people that are on there. It could be, that are actually providing ride sharing services, for example. They could be anybody, right? It could be your grandma. I had one person before, she moved into town, and she was a grandma, and she drove me all around town, and she did that just to learn the city, which is really cool. I've never had that before. And so you can just put on the app, pops up, and you get a job, and you can just go learn the city, right? By doing that. It was a great way to learn the city. And, that kind of stuff is fundamentally different. The motives and understandings between somebody doing like a full-time position on something compared to over here where, you could just do it and it's kind of fun. You don't have to do it all the time. You could do it when it's really popular, right? When there's surges going on. That kind of stuff is fundamentally different and drives a different kind of person to join and to participate at different times, right? So that's the thing that you have to think about, is that it's really like democracy, right? So the sharing economy is democratizing. In fact, Eric von Hippel, I mentioned him a few times, reading his work a little bit more recently, that was one of the propositions he had back in 2005 and way beyond that, is that people just want to participate. It's like democracy. They love to participate. How do we ensure that there's quality in democracy, right? This ragtag band of, if you think of the U.S., was this giant experiment in democracy hundreds of years ago. And why is that so much more sort of effective sometimes? And sometimes it really breaks down, right? It's a complete disaster in some areas, right? But it is really effective sometimes. And the reason why it's really effective is that people have their own gumption, their own motivation to sort of pick up and do whatever they want. It's based on people being really, really able to understand their own skills and abilities, right? So why do people sort of join public office? Is because they want to give back in some way to their community, and then B, they know that they are skilled in these kind of things, and they sort of rise to the challenge. I am never going to run for public office. It's just not my thing. I'm never going to do that. So I just have that motivation. So I'm going to opt out, right? I'm never going to do that. Just like in the sharing economy, I know, my wife's not ever going to be pleased for if we were to open up our house. So we're never going to do that. We're not going to open up our house to the sharing economy. We're going to opt out of that, right? We just don't. It's not like I'm against it in any sort of way. It's just we don't do that. I mean, it's not our lifestyle, right? But then there's other people that really want that, and they're going to participate. Or with the car sharing thing, same thing. They're going to do that. I carpooled before it was a carpool tool. It was back in 2000. It was called Carpool Tool. It was first sharing economy ride sharing program that I know of that ever existed. It was created at the University of Waterloo. And it worked great. It was fantastic. I just put my name up there, and there we go. Hey, and I got a ride. I was sharing with other people. It was fantastic, right? So not everybody is going to do that. Not everybody is going to sort of do that. So there's a selection mechanism. Only the people that are really wanting to and motivated to, they're going to participate and, give their skills, right? The other thing is there is sort of an education dimension that is really important. Right, so there's this kind of both education component of both the consumer and the supplier, right? So you are educating the supplier. The seller is the person that has their house up, on Airbnb. They're telling you what is going on. They're educating you in all these different dimensions. There's also a rating factor, so you can get second opinions on what this person is, a quality rating of who this person is from sort of arbitrary individuals. We don't know who those are, but that tells you other people's experience. And as that accumulates and you get maybe 30 different opinions on, using their house or going to their house, and they're all positive, they're all 5s out of 5s, then we know that it's probably a pretty good place, right, for the dollar that you're spending. And so there's that kind of knowledge component, as well as there's this education component of the buyer. So if you have a terrible experience, you're going to give a bad review. You might say, blah, this is blah, blah, this is not so good, and all that kind of stuff. That's fun, by the way. You should try it. Blah. You can't. The quality is there. You providing education. The buyer is providing education to somebody else, and they're learning along the way. They're saying, oh, maybe I got to correct this and do this, and they're going to pick up their act over the long run, right? So there's all sorts of really different, really cool mechanisms, and it's just basically based around this idea of democracy. I think it's one of the sort of fundamental beliefs in the sharing economy, that people will rise to the challenge, and not everybody will, right? So there's a selection mechanism. Not everybody's going to rise to the challenge, but those that they believe that they're capable, they're going to do that. And the overall quality is going to be amazing, because you're picking out across a really large pool of individuals, and you're picking out the best ones that are going to volunteer. And those ones that are going to volunteer, they're usually really good. And as long as they're not doing it all the time, maybe they can do it all the time eventually. They're going to appreciate what they're doing, right? So it's very much a sort of volunteerism that happens. So the quality is generally going to be much better because they're motivated in different ways, right? So they're motivated because of altruism and things like that, versus sort of the financial motive where you're just motivated in the financial sense. So that's why when I'm doing this, when I get my work back on reciprocity, I mean, the quality is outstanding. People love to do this kind of stuff. I'm not the only nut, right? I'm the nut that loves to sort of build the software behind it. And have absolutely no financial gain at this moment. It's complete loss to me, but it was something that I wanted to solve. I had this unmet need and I wanted to solve it. It was something that I knew that other people wanted to see solve. So I said, hey, I'm going to do this, put it out there and see what happens. And then there's all these other nuts that are out there, and I apologize if you're watching this and you get offended, but I'm just trying to make out this sort of view of that there's all these isolated people that are different and they have all these kind of different experiences, but they're going to volunteer in different ways, and they're going to love to volunteer, and they're going to be motivated in different ways. And as long as you can figure out the incentives and how they align, of sort of making sure that, so for example, reciprocity is a game where you're collecting points and credits and stuff like that, that's going to help align, and those are aligned with those sort of implicit and explicit rewards, and people are going to be really excited about it. And that's what I think is really cool and interesting. And I'm loving it, right? I'm just loving it to see that people are using it and they're finding it useful. And, the quality is blowing me away. And there's all just kind of the ideas behind it are really cool. So that's all I wanted to say. That's how you ensure quality in a sharing economy. Selection mechanisms, education is important. Those are the things, right? So selection, education, and thinking like democracy, people are going to opt in, and education on both the seller and buyer side, as well as thinking in terms of democracy. People are going to rise to the challenge. There's going to be, not everybody's going to do it, but there's going to be some people that are going to rise to the challenge. As long as you select out, you have a huge pool of people, and there's going to be really cool people out there that can sort of say, hey, I can do that. It's going to be easy for me. So that's it. If you like this video, do the old thumbs up. If you want to add comments, you're free to do that. As well, you can watch old videos. If you want to help out with reciprocity in any sort of way, the E is spelled with a 3, go check out the website and see what you think. It's called an MVP right now, so it's really rudimentary. It works, but it's not the way that I would love it to be at this moment. It's one of those things. It's like, hey, I'm super excited about it that I built it, but at the same time, I think that I can go a lot further. All right, so that's it. Take care. Have a good day. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.